Punishment. My wife was asking me about whether we should punish our daughter or what we should do, and I feel it's a very interesting concept because today in society we just don't talk much about punishment. We don't think much about punishment. It almost doesn't exist, right? If you look at justice, quote unquote, courts in many countries, at least in the West, they don't really punish people anymore. They say, oh, it feels bad. This kid had a hard upbringing, blah, blah, blah. And if you translate that to you as a parent, it's much more so. This is your own kid. You really don't want to cause them any pain, any hardship, and this or that, right? The goal is to make your kid's life as easy as possible. So where does punishment come into play? What is punishment's role today in parenting? The thing about the court system is I'm not really clear what their goals are. Are they trying to get people better? Are they trying to protect society from criminals? Are they trying to say some people are unreformable, then they should just be locked up? They're saying everybody's reformable and they just need a chance and prison isn't a great rehab opportunity for them? I don't know anymore. But I can tell you for children, especially your own, there's two effects, two reasons. One is that, at least for me and many people I know, you just don't want your kid to be a brat. And there's no rules, there's no punishment, there's no consequences. Unfortunately, I think kids just default to being brats. They try to get away with it if they can, which is just sort of the general human condition, right? Adults do that all the time. I think the other problem is how productive is it? How effective is it, right? And that's where the whole idea of corporal punishment, hitting your kid, giving them a slap on the butt, this or that, right? How effective is that really in changing their behavior? Is it effective? And if it's not, then why do we do it? Because if you're a parent, you want to do something that's actually effective for your kid. I mean, I would hope so. And if it's not effective, then you should probably change your methods to something more effective, right? If you're going to send them to school and they're not learning anything, maybe switch schools, right? Or do something about it. Don't just do nothing. I think for me, we never grew up with timeouts. I always wonder how useful timeout is for a little kid. So how is timeout effective for a 2-year-old? They're supposed to go sit in the corner and think about what they've done. I'm pretty sure they don't understand what they've done. They throw stuff on the ground because they think it's funny. That's about it. That's how deeply they think. Do they think further? I would venture not, right? It's like playing chess. You have to think multiple moves in advance. How many moves in advance is your 2-year-old thinking? Can they even imagine tomorrow? They don't have a great concept of time. I think here and now is about it for them. The past is sort of all running together. They can't tell yesterday versus the day before versus a month ago if they even remember that. So what's the point of making them introspect and retrospect? If you're trying to punish them, are you trying to make them feel bad, right? Because that's one way, right? That's how corporal punishment works. They feel pain, thus bad. They associate it, right? Have loathing and conditioning. Stuff that even a dog realizes, right? Simple stuff, right? Roll up a newspaper and hit him because he just pooped on the ground. Shouldn't be doing that. He knows better, right? Cause and effect, consequence, right then and there. So is it that you're trying to achieve some level of pain? Is it emotional pain? Is it physical pain? They're different things, right? What are you trying to achieve? I think the problem is there's a void right now. Many parents have moved away, or societies, at least in some places, have moved away from physical punishment. But I don't know that they've had a good replacement. I don't think anybody would venture to say getting rid of jails completely is a good thing. I think most people would agree that there's still some criminals who need to be put in jail and locked away to keep society safe. And that brings us to another question. Who are you punishing a kid for? Is it for yourself? Is it for your kid? Many parents nowadays don't care about their children harming other things, right? They make a nuisance of themselves in the store. That's okay. But they do care about a kid harming themselves. Think about a society. So if somebody's harming themselves, it's bad. It's okay, suicide. Harming other people, it's okay. So no jail, right? See, it just doesn't follow that there's no jail or prison anymore. I think the problem is many parents are trying to say that, oh, the punishment should fit the crime. But there's no crime and there's no punishment in the sense that your goal is not to prevent them from committing crimes. I would hope it should be well before committing crimes, right? And the idea is the punishment fitting the crime. No, that's not the way it works either, right? The idea is that you have to make them learn it's not okay to do certain things. And the question is, how do you do that, right? I think most of us reject the fact that our parents just punish us for every little infraction, right? Every little thing. When they're not all equally important, some things probably aren't actually important. But to our parents, everything's important, right? The question is, how do you teach your kids what's important or not? I think that's important, right? How do you teach them that this is not okay? In some situations you get away with it, but this you can't get away with it, right? Behavior. We understand that you behave differently at different places. Is it a big deal that you're making a nuisance in a grocery store? Well, yes. But is it a bigger deal you're making a nuisance in front of a large gathering of people at a funeral? Well, I would dare say yes, right? Most parents would be very shocked and strongly react to their kids making a nuisance at a funeral at a grocery store. But how do kids learn to understand what's important or not? Who teaches them what's important or not? Who's going to actually teach their kids that it's not all black and white? I would say that's a discussion most kids don't have, right? Because most parents are sort of black and white with kids. But the world is not black and white. How are we going to teach them that the world's not black and white? Sometimes you can get away with stuff, sometimes you can't get away with stuff, right? I think that's one thing, at least for me, that's a very big deal in terms of what's black and white versus what's not black and white. Because you have to realize that, the world is not black and white, and there's always a hierarchy, priority, ranking, right? Like most people nowadays wouldn't say is never acceptable to lie. I think they'd have quite a few exceptions. But if you teach kids honesty is always the best policy, then there are no exceptions, right? The goal is to teach them to think for themselves, to behave themselves, to judge for themselves what they should or should not do in certain situations, right? And how do you teach that? It's not simply punishment, it's the whole system in place that you have to teach them, they have to learn, that they have to incorporate, they have to imbibe and think themselves about why they do or do not do stuff. And it's not simply because of punishment, right? Because just because you get away with it doesn't mean you should. The problem is there's no great system right now, as far as I know. So to revert to punishment, we adapt a new system which doesn't exist and thus we don't punish. Simply the answer is we don't know. But I feel having no system is not good either. I think it's time to start thinking about it, start working at it, start judging what really is important to you and what's not. And developing a new way, your own way, in a sense, if the way doesn't exist. I guess that's what I have to work on now. Won't be fun, won't be easy. We'll give it a go because we have to, right? Well behaved kids, our goal is not just to not have a serial killer, but to have a good kid, a good member of society, contributed nice, helpful to others, what we all want our kids to be.